I'm Sophie.
And I'm Phaedra.
And this is My Best View.
Sophie, what was your best view this week?
My best view this week is something pretty niche I have discovered via my little sister, which is a very addictive online game called catfishing, but it's nothing to do with like pretending to be someone else online. It's this game, it's based on Wikipedia, and it's like, you know how Wikipedia articles have tags? Like it'll be like British authors, people born in 1940, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just get the tags and you have to guess what Wikipedia article they're referencing.
Wait, that's fun.
It's honestly really fun. I'm pretty bad at it, but it is fun, and I have already learned a bunch of new things I would never have known before. So highly recommend. I've been viewing that game a lot this week. What was your best view this week?
My best view this week was actually yesterday. I went to the birthday party of my 5-year-old neighbor.
I saw pictures. I was really jealous.
Dude, his mom hired a Mr. Softy like ice cream truck to come. That was fucking awesome.
I saw that and I was like, okay, so obviously I need to do that.
Yeah, like elevating the game. If you're here for your birthday next year, you should hire the Mr. Softy truck and you should invite my 5-year-old neighbor. He'd be like, well, okay, I literally did this.
You feel like, okay, copycat. That's actually creepy as fuck. I'm inspired.
It was adorable. A perfect New York birthday for a 5-year-old, I do have to say.
I love that.
Girl, should we jump into this one? This was a meaty fucking episode.
I really like this. This is a good episode.
Yeah. I feel like we've said that every single episode practically, and I feel like it's a testament to how good this season is, especially in comparison to last season.
I agree.
We are going to start by covering Catie and Josh, and unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us as viewers, because it is more entertaining, we are continuing the toxicity of last episode when it comes to Catie.
Yeah, she is continuing to lose us. You know, I'm glad we gave her a little bit of like goodwill / leeway at the beginning to like surprise us, but I think I can speak for both of us when I say we're pretty done with her. We need to see some like really major changes if we want to change our opinion about her.
Yeah. It's a tough watch. We pick right back up in the middle of the discussion that's happening between Josh, Catie, and then the like, whatever you want to call it, affair partner, Ryan, who is, of course, a guest at her birthday party. Why? Anyway, so Catie says in a kind of lighthearted tone that she feels like, oh, maybe I'm the problem here. And it's like, I love the lucidity we're having already, but I don't think it's for real.
And she said it in such an annoying way. She's like, I feel like I'm the problem.
It's like, yeah, you literally are. How could you not be? And Josh replies to this by saying he thinks it's 50-50. And I think that he meant that Ryan and Catie are both to blame, but I got really scared that he meant himself. I was like, no, it's not. But even that, I'm like, no, it's not 50-50. The person who's at fault when it comes to you and your relationship is Catie. I mean, of course, you can think that Ryan's a shitty guy for doing what he's been doing, but that doesn't mean that it's half his fault. He doesn't technically owe you anything. It's
also like, yeah, it's a shitty thing to do on Ryan's side, but it's like, in terms of who is causing you directly more harm, like it's definitely your partner. So we can focus on her.
Yes. But I will say Ryan now does apologize to Josh for hurting him, which I did appreciate. Ryan tells Josh that him and Catie have discussed their relationship and basically they've agreed that they're just friends, and Catie agrees with that. And Josh tells Catie that he doesn't want to control her, but he does want her to stop making stupid decisions. And overall, like, I definitely agree with Josh's approach to this thing that's upsetting him, like this crossing of his boundary, in the sense that like he is not trying to control Catie. He's just like, hey, can you not do that? And she's completely not honoring his request.
I feel like it just gets to a point with Josh where I'm like, okay, I love him giving her the benefit of the doubt, giving her some chances. I think that's kind. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, you're also contributing to this dynamic because you're refusing to acknowledge reality for what it is. And I'm sorry to say it like that because I do think Josh is obviously significantly more the victim here. But I think it's difficult to be like, oh yeah, you're doing the right thing, when it's like, okay, you tried to do the right thing, it's not working, and you're just not changing your behavior. I don't know. I struggle with that a little bit.
I agree. I guess I'm curious what he's waiting for. It sounds like he's given her a lot of chances, and it sounds like they've been through different situations over a somewhat long period of time. And I'm like, okay, what have you not seen that you think you could see still? Like, what situationally would be different? I guess I'm really missing how he doesn't feel that he's seen enough.
I know what you mean.
Josh tells Catie and Ryan that, okay, if everyone agrees that, you know, you guys are just friends and it's not going to happen again, then I'm happy to just leave everything in the past and move on. Very big of him. And Ryan agrees. And then Catie says, do you think I can make out with everyone I know?
what the fuck was that? Genuinely.
Okay, because even if that was like a cut and like the editor, that wasn't what she said directly to that and they cut that in for drama, why the fuck are you saying that in this conversation at all? Like, what could the context be that would be okay? And both of them have a bad reaction. Josh is like, Catie, and Ryan even is like, I don't think that's a good idea.
It's the combination of both not taking Josh seriously and also just like, it's straight up the worst thing you could say in the situation. And then she like, this whole episode, like you'll see continually, she is perpetuating the exact behavior she was told to stop milliseconds before. And I just like, I don't understand what is happening in her brain. I would love to understand it. I've never seen anything like this.
Me neither. It really felt like a case study of some sort, and we need a professional to analyze it.
Also, I will just make a note here. Catie is, I would say, the drunkest we've ever seen her. She is sloshed. But you know how there's like some people who are like alcoholics and they're highly functional? Like she's not that. She's like slurring her words and like not able to stand up straight. It's really a tough watch.
Very much so. Anyway, they all go back inside and they're hanging out with other friends. Basically, when they go back inside, we see just a string of bad behavior from Catie. At some point, Catie is like side hugging Josh and another guy friend, which was interesting. But she asks him if she can kiss all her friends. And he's like, no. Next, Catie tells him that she'll go have an espresso martini. And he's like, how about a water first? She's like blackout drunk right now. And then she walks over like to some other male friend and like sprawls on him, like leans back, but like with her entire body on him and asks him for a kiss too. And the friend is like, rejects her very awkwardly. Like, no, Catie, we're not going to do that. Also, meanwhile, we're seeing Josh telling one of Catie's friends that, you know, oh, this party, like, it's nice practice for the wedding because, you know, there's a lot of mingling going on.
More than mingling is going on, Josh.
Dude, at their wedding, is she literally going to kiss someone else? That's the only way she knows how to party.
No, you know, there's like wedding traditions where it's like everyone like blesses the ring by touching it. It's going to be like everyone blesses the bride by kissing her.
Oh my God. It's her dream wedding. It is heartbreaking, but on some level, you're also like, now, Josh, are we delusional? Like, what are we talking about? How can you be thinking that? Like, it's sweet, but it's not set in reality in a way that is, like, at this point, upsetting.
It's just tough when you know someone has enough data to make an informed decision and they choose not to. At a certain point, it's like they're also a little bit to blame.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's all his fault, but it's like, what else could she do? Like, if she had sex with someone else in their bed while he was next to her, would that be a deal breaker?
In that twin bed?
Oh my God. What would be the thing where he's like, okay, that's enough? Because like, I honestly feel like she could do almost anything and he would find a way to justify it, you know?
It's sad. I really am curious at that point in time, like when they're filming the show, like what is his goalpost? Is it something crazy like, oh, she'd have to get pregnant with another man's baby and that's why when I would leave her? Like, is that his goalpost? Or is it like his goalpost is if she kisses another person, but then if it happens, it pushes to a different goal? Do you know what I mean? I'm curious which one it is.
I would love to understand that as well.
So now Catie is talking to Ryan, the affair partner guy, alone in the bar. And she's like so close to him. I've never gotten that close to Sophie here. You know, like we... She is so close to this man. She is up in his face and she's like talking about, yeah, we can be normal mode, not crazy mode. And it's kind of like grabbing his arms and putting them around her, but then also putting them up in the air. It was confusing what was even happening, but there's a lot of touching going on for sure. And then she goes in trying to like forcefully kiss him while he was actively trying to push her off of him. And he's like, no, Catie. And she says, no, I'm being crazy mode.
This shit was so bizarre. And then he like puts his hand on her face to like muzzle her.
Yeah.
And push her away. And she starts licking his finger.
Ew. In what I think was supposed to be a sexy way too.
Yeah.
Hard to
she
tell.
was giving his finger a little.
She's blowing his finger.
And while Josh is literally looking on.
Yeah, he's watching this. And instead of going and saying anything to her, Josh just kind of calmly puts his coat on and walks out of the bar, which honestly, yeah, like I agree with.
I respected it, yeah. Especially because obviously they cut this together, but the conversation about, oh no, Ryan and I were just friends happened at most, an hour before this?
At most.
I mean, it's this, like, it's not like so much time has gone by, like, I don't understand how it goes from we're just friends to let me kiss you.
Also, just, I suppose it's neither here nor there, nor whatever, nor anywhere.
Neither up nor down, nor east nor west.
But just also the way that after this, what I felt was like really intense, embarrassing, sad conversation between Josh, Catie, and Ryan, where like, if I were Catie, I'd be like, holy shit, like my fiance is really upset with me. I really hurt his feelings. And like, I put him in this awkward position. I would feel horrible. Like it would literally ruin my night. I would have to like go home 30 minutes later, like just like feeling embarrassed.
Or at the least, I would be like at my partner's side the rest of the night.
Yeah, I would not be leaving them. But the fact that they just go inside and she acts like nothing happened, basically, like it didn't appear to bring her down emotionally. Like this is really adding to your theory that like she doesn't even really care about him. Like, again, this is based off of what we've seen. We're not claiming to like truly know her entire feelings and motivations and whatever. We're just going based off of an edit of a reality TV show. But I'm really not seeing evidence of care. Like even when it's explicitly being said that because of your actions, Catie, I feel bad. And she's just like, okay, well, we talked it through, so I'm going to go get even drunker and then try to make out with people in front of you when you've just said that hurts your feelings. Like, what the fuck?
I just have no common touch points here. Like, I have nothing from my own life I can reference at all to understand this. Because, like, I've never been in a situation even remotely similar to this. And I have to imagine if I were, I would be reacting extremely differently. So I just, like, I don't understand. I don't know what's happening. I don't get it. I don't know how to view it other than at this point, something that is malicious. And I I hate to accuse people of malice, but I don't understand what more needs to happen for her behavior to change.
Yeah.
And if it's not malice, it's at least a complete lack of care, which I think in the context of a relationship is kind of inherently malicious. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just odd to me. It is just odd.
We now see one of Catie's friends, this guy Mark, who I believe we've seen in a previous episode.
She's definitely kissed him before.
Oh my God. I guess the implication is that she's kissed every single person she's friends with. So I guess we could just assume every person at this party she's kissed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one of her friends, aka someone she's kissed before, Mark, goes outside and joins Josh on the sidewalk. And we see that Josh is just kind of standing there, like taking a breath. I thought that he was calling an Uber going home, but he was just kind of...
I hoped so. I know.
He was just kind of stepping out, I guess. And Mark asked Josh what he thinks about what Catie is doing right now. And in this conversation, I went, oh, at least a good subsection of Catie's friends are pissed at her.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I was happy to see. And I realized, because this whole time, we've gotten the context of like, oh, Catie's kissed all her friends and like they're always drinking together, they're doing run club. But the number of friends that rejected her kiss in a super awkward way, and like then this guy coming out, and we'll get more into it, but he's basically like, hey Josh, are you upset by what Catie is doing? Because it's a lot. I was like, thank God these people aren't total freaks. I was like, is everyone cool with this? Like, no. I mean, at the very least, she's the friend who gets so drunk you have to like bring her home and like unlock her door, help her throw up into the toilet. She's the one who ruins the party, right?
Yeah.
At the very least. So anyway, in response to Mark's question about what Josh thinks about Catie right now, Josh says that it's fucked up, but it's complicated. And Josh is putting it on himself to be more patient and tolerant, trusting that underneath all the rubbish and silliness, Catie is actually the person he thinks he is. And again, I'm just like, Josh, based off what?
I'm just really so curious what the origins of the relationship were. I mean, we know that like literal first day meet cute was her kissing a bunch of other people, so that's always been there. But I just like wonder, was there something else in the relationship at the beginning that he's like kind of looking back on and like, oh, I wish we could go back to that? Like, because it almost seems like he has this certainty that there's something else to the relationship, and I wonder if that's based on something that used to be there, or it's just like his perception of her potential. I feel like it could be either.
It's a good question. I'm so curious about what the timeline is between when the two of them became exclusive as a couple, well, if that ever happened, but you know what I mean, when that agreement was made and when she first kissed someone outside of that relationship. I'm so curious about that. To your point, like if it was even 6 months, he could look back on those 6 months fondly and be like, oh, but we had that time, That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, was it ever the relationship he wanted it to be and he's missing that? Or is this completely just something that he's viewing as potential? So that would kind of be interesting for me to learn. Don't marry potential, guys. It just does not work out. And if it does, it's in spite of everything. So Mark, the friend who's talking to Josh right now, to his credit, says that if he were Josh, he'd be yanking Catie out of the bar and taking them both home to sort this shit out. And I was like, me too, girl. Or I would just be going home and being like, okay, let me pack my bags and go home, like to the UK.
Yeah.
Either one. Josh says, quote, I am looking for reasons to excuse her because otherwise, what have I done? I've come here for what?
That broke my heart.
Gosh, we're getting so close to lucidity. It's like Debbie, like how we can we can actually point out like these really good points about what's going wrong, and then we don't close the loop. Why? But
you're right. They both do this thing where it's like, if this is the case, then that must mean Y. But Y can't be true, therefore it can't be X. And you're like...
I guess it's like if they admitted the reality of their situations, they'd realize they'd have to break up with these people, and they don't want to for their various reasons. I mean, that's simply what it means.
Yeah.
But the why underneath that I find really peculiar. And Mark, he's like, I totally understand you're trying to be accepting, but it's okay to be mad in this situation. And Mark was such a goated friend. This was Josh's Astra. Like, okay, yeah.
I loved him.
And Josh tells him that he's trying to figure out with Catie what is OCD and what is her being dramatic, because sometimes they look similar. Dramatic is such a funny word to use.
And I was about to say, I think we're missing a third option.
And Mark says that looking at what Catie is doing on a night like tonight, Josh deserves to be respected as an individual and even more as her fiancé. And at some point, Josh has to put his foot down. And in an interview to the camera, Mark says that he can't really understand how Josh is handling this. He thinks Josh is more worried about the blowback he would get by, you know, doing any things he suggested, like calling out Catie for real, or, you know, he thinks that Josh is more afraid of the blowback he would get from that than the act of actually doing it. I mean, this felt spot on to me.
Spot on. I know, Mark is smart.
He is. And Mark tells Josh that if he continues rolling over every time something like this happens, Catie will just continue doing what she's doing. And Josh even agrees that that's probably right. And he's like, yeah, I need to get over this, I don't know, timidness, Britishness. Brits sound off. Would you be cool with all this?
Let us know.
And Mark's like, yeah, well, you should probably figure this out before you guys get married at least, which is, again, true. And the two of them go back inside. Mark goes to Catie, and Catie immediately goes in to try to kiss him.
I always like make a note of things I think would make a good screenshot. I started writing down like the timestamps of, oh, she's trying to kiss this person. She's trying to get, at a certain point, I was like, this is going to be 50 different screenshots. I mean, she was trying to kiss everybody. It's really, really weird.
Bizarre.
Also, honestly, like, I don't want to take it too far, but like, she's trying to kiss people who have said either to the camera, either to Josh or someone else, they do not want to kiss her.
Or to her.
Or to her face. And like when she tries to kiss them, they will like be physically pushing her back. And I'm like, you know what I think needs to be said? Katie's also behaving really inappropriately towards these people.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Because I think we always think about Josh and we think about, you know, if this were a man and he was like trying to grope all of his female friends and like, you know, kiss them to the point where they were shoving him away, we'd be like, this is legitimately predatory behavior. And like, I think because Katie's like this like smaller woman, it like maybe doesn't feel as bad, but like trying to kiss people who do not want to kiss you is really, really bad.
Yeah. Controversial opinion.
I think that gets a little bit swept under the rug because the bigger people speak about their relationship, how she's betraying Josh by doing this. But I'm also like, yeah, but you also like cannot be sexually harassing / assaulting somewhere in that spectrum these people who like don't want to be kissed by you.
I mean, she truly is. It's a really good point. I guess to me, it felt obvious that everyone would feel that way, but thank you for pointing it out because I suppose it's really not.
I think we forget it because the focus is just on their relationship. But this episode, seeing back to back, people literally pushing her away with their hands.
And her
like,
still
get off of me.
And her pushing against their arms, like trying to go in for the kiss. Like she is, it's not just that she's going in for it, they're pushing her off and she's sitting back. Like she's continuing to go for it in a way that is, to your point, sexually really freaky. Like you need to stop. Like this is genuinely not okay. You're making people feel uncomfortable and you're coming across as frankly creepy.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to be her friend based on that fact alone. Why are you trying to like sexually assault me? Fuck off.
Seriously, I know.
I feel unfortunately for all the points we've pointed out, at what point is it not unfair to say maybe this is a bad person? That she's at least doing extremely bad behavior that she would have to really make up for. And it's like in this moment, I think she's being a bad person.
I agree.
And, you know, I really hate to say that. Like, we were really defending her and, like, trying to hold space for, like, nuance here. And, of course, we always will. But, I mean, it gets to a point.
It gets to a point also where, like, if she wants to win us back, she needs to be making, like, legitimate reparations to people. And I'm not sure that we're going to see that. So
it makes me really nervous because on her social media, she's making a lot of videos that I find interesting. But in nearly every single one, she has a drink that she, like, wine, beer, whatever. And it's like, Catie.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, she needs to stop drinking.
Yeah, at the very least.
To just wrap it up, Mark tells Josh that Catie is too drunk right now, as literally he is pushing Catie off of him, who's trying to kiss him. His palm is on her mouth, and she starts trying to make out with his palm. And Mark literally points this out to Josh. He's like, yeah, I think you need to take her home. She's too drunk. She's licking my palm right now. And in an interview with the camera, Josh is like, yeah, this is not a good start to any marriage I want to be a part of. And I'm like Debbie, I hope you fucking mean that, but I don't think you do.
I know. Just like between last episode and this one, Catie has truly, truly lost me.
I know.
I was trying to think of why this whole thing of like her trying to kiss people only struck me today as so bad. And I think today was the first time we've really seen her like, or this episode was the first time we've really seen her like go at people and have them be like, no. Like, I think otherwise we either heard about it and we didn't know how consensual it was, or it was more of like, oh, I could just kiss you right now, or something like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like we haven't seen her in this way of like sucking people's fingers as they're trying to muzzle her. I mean, that level of non-consent was definitely, I think, something we didn't visually see before.
No, and I don't believe that was even implied. So yes, I think that's what really changed this for me is I'm like, dude, like, no.
Nobody wants her to be doing this. Literally nobody wants her to be doing this.
Yes. It's also so funny how, sorry, I don't want to be a bitch, but like it was how funny to me how like Josh and Mark were like acknowledging like, yeah, part of what makes this hard is Catie is so charming and like it's easy to get confused about things. And I'm like, sorry, am I missing some key evidence for the charm? I'm not seeing anything that's charming.
Same. And that's, I guess, why I'm wondering if there's like a piece we don't have.
Right? It's confusing.
Yeah.
Regardless of if okay, she could be the most charming person in the world. The moment you're going after not even just one, but multiple people in the span of what, maybe 3 hours, trying to non-consensually make out with them in front of your fiance, I really don't even care how charming you are. You're a freak. Like you're acting like a really bad person right now, straight up.
Agreed. And like, I'm going to be honest, we have so much heat for Shea. We can't not have a similar heat for her when some of her behaviors are legitimately worse than Shea's.
Yeah. Or at least we're seeing it happen, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows about Shea? Ugh, I'll never give him a pass.
If we're so mad at Shea for like, you know, looking at a woman's boobs, which look, I am mad at him for that. Mm-hmm. Imagine if Shea went to a bar and made out with 4 different women, or tried to, and they all pushed him off of them.
Ugh, that'd be the only right response.
Like, I don't know. She deserves a little bit of that too. Next up, we have Ashia and Maxwell. There were some really good moments. I love them. They're still in Nigeria in this shared apartment with Maxwell's parents. It's the morning, and Maxwell is just telling Ashia that he would prefer it if she would address his parents with respect, i.e. say, good morning, sir, and good morning, ma'am, and not, hey, ma, because when you say hey to elders, it's like, it's more how you would speak to a dog. And while this is happening, by the way, Ashia is micromanaging Maxwell's whole outfit.
She's so irksome.
I know. I will say, you know, we talk a lot about like what parts of other cultures that we are like kind of view as rules that you should respect, or ones that maybe you don't need to. And I do think one I take seriously is cultures that have strong respect for elders. I think especially if you're like marrying into that culture, it's a really polite thing to do, to participate in those cultural norms.
I also feel that it's one of those things that really takes minimal effort. So it's like, if you're not even willing to do that, come on.
Then before they get downstairs, Ashia brings one other topic up with Maxwell, which is that she says he should have explained the eye whitening thing better to his family, because they were so critical of her wanting to get his eyes whitened. And maybe if he'd explained it better, they wouldn't be so critical. And I'm like, Ashia, I don't think there is anything in the world that would have made them think that that was a normal thing for you to be forcing onto their child.
It's also like I feel that Ashia kept bringing up the eye whitening thing, and like that's where they lost them. And I'm like, girl, it wasn't just that. It's because it was like that on top of the chemical peel, the braces, the changing his body type. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was the icing on top, and it was the most outlandish thing you said that like I hadn't heard of that before. Like that was crazy. It wasn't just that in a vacuum though, girl.
And so they get downstairs, and you'll recall a matter of minutes before, Ashia was told to greet the parents with good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. She says, hello, ma, hello, dad, hey, ma.
I feel like she also is not getting the subtext. The subtext is like, don't call them mom and dad.
I know.
And that's what she's continuing. And she thinks it's just about hey, I think. That's why she said hello. Because to her, that's like the formal version. But it's like, they're not your mom and dad. How are you not picking up on this?
I know. And then he literally is like, I told you to say good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. Then she's like, good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am.
She says it like a 5-year-old. It's so weird. She's like, ugh. I'm really confused why she is having a hard time doing this, because I always thought that saying sir and ma'am and like all this stuff was very Southern.
It is.
So why is this like such a hard concept for her to grasp?
I don't understand. I know it's funny because that was something that was jarring for me when I first moved to the South, was everyone saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, everything like that. So it is funny that she thinks it's so foreign. I think she just doesn't like being told what to do.
Yes. And I think also it's like she doesn't want to give up this feeling of familiarity and closeness that she low-key has imagined herself to have with his family. And it's like, I think it's a combination of those two things, being told what to do and having like getting checked for like, hey, they're not your mom and dad. Like you're not close with them like that. Watch yourself.
So we then get an interview with Maxwell's mom. And I don't know if you caught this. I thought it was so funny. She was talking about how women need to obey men. Yeah. But she kind of said it in this way that it was kind of like a little Dr. Seuss poem.
What'd she say?
She was like, whether the man has money or not, whether the man is short or tall, whether the man, like, she's all these little things.
Okay, Mrs. Seuss. Like, obviously, I don't love this rhetoric of like, oh, you need to obey the man, blah, blah, blah. But it is funny because I feel that when you hear things like this, like the point culturally is like to make you think that like women hold no power, essentially. But it's like, even in these short glimpses of the family dynamic, like that mom is running the ship.
I know.
And it's always funny, like how women are always running the show, even when it's like, no, you must obey, the man must lead. And it's like, what are they leading? I'm just trying to say, like, this woman is not meek at the very least, which is good. I know, it is actually funny for someone who's supposed to be obedient. She has spoken 1,000 times more than her husband does. Yes. So at this point, Ashia and Maxwell are in the car going to a market to go shopping. And they're kind of arguing in the car because Ashia, like, basically, she doesn't understand why Maxwell's mom was annoyed with her. And Maxwell's like, well, it's because you explicitly ignored what I told you. Like, what does she mean?
And then she says something which is so, like, purposefully obtuse. It really surprised me. She goes, I don't get it. The first time I came here, I called them, mom and dad, and I said, hey, and now I'm here a second time, and now you're telling me? And she's basically saying, like, why didn't you tell me ahead of my first visit? And it's like, well, maybe he assumed you wouldn't say, hey, ma, to someone you were just meeting for the first time. And after he heard you say it, he was like, can you not do that in the future? Like, but she was like, well, if it wasn't a problem the first time, why is it a problem now? And it's like, no, I think it was always a problem. I think they were just, like, giving you a chance to self-correct.
She's truly delusional. Yeah, like, it's so funny. She's almost saying, like, you didn't say anything the first time, so that means you're just making it up this time, and so I won't listen to it. And it's like, okay, it's a really interesting interpretation to protect your own ego.
And it's just funny because sometimes it's like you just don't know everything. This is a culture you're not a part of. Maybe you just don't know about it. Like,
it's so funny to, in a culture that you don't know, assume that you can start with this insane level of familiarity that wouldn't even be cool in your own culture. Like, that's a crazy assumption to make. Why would you think that way?
She's like walking into their house, like opening the fridge, helping herself to food. Like,
she would totally do that. I 100% believe that.
So basically, this is just becoming a bigger issue, that Maxwell is obviously not happy with the fact that she's not getting along with his family. And then he says something which we were all thinking. He says, I'm thinking about the decision for the fiancé visa, as in the fact that the visa was rejected. He says, it might be a sign. And Ashia goes, say what now? Like, completely shocked. And then he says, are you sure God really wants us to be married?
Oh, I was surprised he went there so fast. This is like her first day there.
She's like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you doubting things? Are you confused? And he says he is a bit confused now. And she says he should be ashamed of himself for being confused.
Bro.
And then basically she's like, I don't get it. If my mom didn't like you, it would be for a real reason, like you cheated on me or something. And he says, well, my parents don't like you for a real reason.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what's the real reason? And he's like, well, you're always trying to change me. You don't respect our culture, etc. And she's like, those aren't real reasons. Like, it's just a misunderstanding.
Ashia, she's so deluded.
I know. She lives by her own rules. And yeah, okay. So at this point, they finally pull up to the market. And this is not the most important thing, but Maxwell is haggling. And she's like, giving interviews saying like she thinks it's so weird that he was negotiating the price. She would never do that. And I'm like, just admit you don't understand how things work in other places. Like, especially because these people come in with a camera crew. Of course, the people selling are going to hike up the price.
Yeah. Good point.
That's how it works. And it's just kind of funny that this is where she's like putting her foot down and being like, we shouldn't be negotiating the price. I'm like, no, that's literally how it works. Like, you're good.
It's also, I would never be with a local and be like, they're doing something culturally inappropriate. Shut up. How would you know?
So while these two are shopping, the parents, so Maxwell's parents and Ashia's mom, are alone at the apartment discussing their relationship. And Maria, Maxwell's mom, says that she's not happy that Ashia is trying to change Maxwell's look, which, look, I think is really fair.
I love also how direct she is. I mean, there's no passivity here.
And she says something which I actually kind of agree with based on just like my understanding of religion, which is she says that he looks the way God made him. And she feels like he should stay the way God made him. And like the should part, I think is up for negotiation. But I do think it's an odd thing to be so obsessed with God's plan and God's creation and then be like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands.
Seriously.
I think it's an odd thing to have, whatever. So I can appreciate that they're consistent with their belief system. Yeah. And then Ashia's mom says, she just wants his skin smoother. That's all. And I'm like, first of all, that's not all. But secondly, like, it's not what it's about.
I know. I thought that was a really odd thing too. Even if Juliet, Ashia's mom, agrees with Ashia, like thinks, yeah, he should get his skin smoother, you can't at least acknowledge to his parents like, oh, I'm sorry if that felt hurtful or something.
I know. She's like, well, he just does need to fix this thing about himself.
It's like, well, okay, agree to disagree.
And then Juliet kind of casually mentions that, well, you know, Ashia's 38. She's had options to get married before. And Maxwell's parents are pretty gagged because they did not know she was 38.
Okay, dude, last episode, me being like, how can they expect her to have 4 kids? They know she's almost 40. And I'm like, oh shit, they didn't know.
And so they would like for Maxwell to be with someone closer to 25.
Okay, so big difference.
Significant. Juliet doesn't see the problem. She's like, oh, like, is it a problem if someone's too old? And they say it's a huge issue. Maxwell's dad says that women should get married at the age of 30 maximum. Okay.
Look, obviously I don't agree with that, but clearly for them, having children is an essential part of marriage. And so if you're coming from that kind of cultural context, while I might ideologically disagree with it for various reasons, I do understand what they're saying from their viewpoint.
It is logically consistent.
And then also I'm confused by Juliet being like, yeah, what's the problem with her age when clearly kids are a part of the equation? I'm like, does she not realize?
There is a biological reality. Yeah. Maxwell's dad said my favorite line of the whole episode. He said, somebody get married at the age of 38. The menopause is knocking at the door.
Knock, knock, knock. It's your menopause.
Maxwell's mom pretty much says she does not support the relationship and she does not want it to continue. So
the producers are in the back like, shut up. This is only episode 8. I'm so curious if Juliet is going to tell Ashia what they said or if she's going to keep it to herself. Like, I'm really curious how she'll approach that. I feel like she'll tell Ashia.
It's also interesting because they don't even have a visa yet. I feel like there's not that much of like a sunk cost thing happening here on Maxwell's side. Like he could back out of this relationship pretty unscathed if he wanted to. So I'm curious to see how impactful this will be because you know his parents are going to be like, you did not tell us she was 38.
It's also so interesting because I'm sure Maxwell knew that his parents would not like how old she is. So I don't know. I'm really trying to suss him out. Like so far I haven't, in what we've seen of him moving on camera, not just what we've seen through photos, but what we've seen of his presence on camera, I don't get bad vibes from him. I do, however, have a lot of doubts because of the story about how like the whole embassy trip went. Also, like we didn't even talk about this in the first episode, but like the documents that he sent her looked fake as fuck. Like about like them being like, you can come back another day. It was like
here is the embassy.
Yeah. His story to me is extremely suspicious, and I would not be surprised if he didn't even have an appointment and that was literally made up, just for the record. That said, him on camera, I haven't seen anything bad. So I'm just like, I don't fully have a grip on him yet. And like the fact that he didn't tell his parents about her age, and yet they seem very upset about her age. What I'm trying to say is, if he is trying to scam Ashia for a green card, he hasn't clued his family in on it, which I find very interesting.
Agreed.
So maybe it's like, maybe it is for real, but I don't know. That's why I can't tell yet.
It's hard to get a read on them. I'm excited to see more.
Me too. Now we have Shea and Anabelle, and I did note that it said 67 days to wed. Just by the way, it's been about a month. Mm-hmm. And today they're going to meet Allison, which is Shea's daughter, and her kids to go grocery shopping. And I skipped the smoothie bit, whatever. In the car, Shea says that he feels bad because he had to blow Allison off for lunch the other day because he was working. And it's just like, he's like, oh yeah, like I don't want her to feel like I'm not spending enough time with her, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't y'all live on the same property? Like, why are y'all so enmeshed like this? It's so weird how much time she expects, and you seem to expect also, of y'all to spend together. Like, I find it really strange.
I agree.
Does Allison not have any friends? Like, it's really weird. Why is she always hanging out with her dad?
I don't know, but I will say Allison grew on me tremendously this episode.
I agree, but I just find their relationship really strange.
It is weird. It is very weird.
So they arrive at the grocery store and LMAO, Allison just comes right out and asks Shea about the fight that he had with Anabelle over him cheating.
They're like next to the bell peppers.
Yeah. And Shea is like taken aback by this, and he's like, yeah, we've been doing really well actually, and got through all that crap, is how he phrases it. And Allison asks Shea if he's going to have Nicole, his ex-wife, get her stuff out of the shed then. And Annabelle's like, what's all this about? And Shea's like, oh, I haven't had time to do that. And then a couple seconds later, he says he hadn't even thought about that anytime recently. I'm like, okay, so which one is it? Love his constantly changing stories.
I know.
So what's revealed here is Nicole, his ex-wife, had like some extra furniture and stuff, maybe when she moved or something, that she didn't have a place to put, and he had a spare shed on his property. So he was like, oh, just leave it here. You don't have to pay for storage. Just do that. Doesn't matter. And either forgot about it or didn't have time to deal with it. Who knows what the truth is. But Anabelle is like, okay, well, you have to talk to Nicole about that today. I want it out by the end of the day. Like, I don't want any of your ex-wife's stuff on our property. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll talk to her sometime about it later. And Annabelle's like, no, you'll do it right now. And so instead of even calling her, he just sends her a text. And then Allison to the camera says that she is upset because her dad promised that he would still prioritize her and not miss out on things that they always did together, even after Anabelle arrives. But obviously that's not been the case. And I'm just like, okay, Allison, you are kind of a crazy person, because it's been like, what, a month? You're surprised that he's spending a lot of time with his fiancé the first month she's there?
I know.
Weird. Anyway, she says that she's been enjoying poking at them in the grocery store about the Nicole stuff because she likes Anabelle and her dad isn't being truthful with her. And Anabelle is not asking questions. And there's stuff that needs to be said and done, according to Allison.
My relationship with Allison right now is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like, I'm loving that she is causing problems for Shea, so I'm supporting her right now. But I don't like anything about her specifically as a person. I just like that she's in this little shit-stirring mood.
Absolutely. Mark's daughter from last season could learn a thing or two from Allison.
They can start a Republican group chat.
Oh, God. Nightmare blunt rotation. Okay, so Shea starts rattling off these excuses that Nicole supposedly gave him as to why she can't pick up her stuff. Like, she didn't have a truck and she didn't have anyone to help her move the stuff. Famously, you can't hire people to do either of those things.
Also, I feel like everyone in Paducah has a truck.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean you don't have a truck? And Annabelle is crazy in the right type of way. Not insane, but she's just like wild. Because she just says, Shea, I think you still love her. Just like in the grocery store. And immediately she's like, no, I don't love her. What are you talking about? There's nothing going on between us and there's no love. But basically, like, they'll keep running into each other eventually. So he wants to remain cordial. And I'm like, surely even in this small town, you could carve out a social situation where you're not constantly running into your ex-wife. Like, surely.
You would think so, but...
And anyway, now they've done their grocery shopping and Anabelle and Shea are in the car driving away from the grocery store. And they actually go to the shed when they arrive back on the property. And Shea is cracking him out because he's acting like he has no idea what's in this shed. Like, they walk in and he's like, yeah, what's in here? Like, okay,
what
I
is
see
this
like
stuff?
Couches and chairs and it's like, Shea, why are you doing all that? Because there's no way he didn't at least see what went in the shed, because like he had the lock.
I know. Shea consistently has been in such a lady doth protest too much mindset. Like, he's just always like, oh, I had never even heard of that. And it's like, you have heard of it. Like, you know what it is. Like
a mail order bride. He's like,
I'd never heard of that. If he could just tone down the drama 20%, it would be a lot more convincing.
Agreed. And Annabelle forces him to call Nicole right now to pick up her stuff. And he's like, fine. And he does it. And in an interview with the camera, Annabelle explains that they had a fight a couple years ago about him being in such close contact with Nicole. Which is interesting because I thought this was the first she's like hearing of the situation, but I guess not.
Yeah.
And ever since then, she suspected that something might be going on between them, of course. And the fact that he lied about the situation is very upsetting to her, of course. Shea finishes the call and says that Nicole told him to just sell the stuff, so he'll do that. And I'm like,
yeah, he's like, I'm going to take pictures of it and put it online. And I'm like, it's just funny that you've been suckered into doing all this extra labor now.
I know. I'm like, why does Nicole have so much control over you? I'd be like, get your stuff. I'm not selling it for you. If you don't pick it up, I'm going to put it on the side of the road. Surely she'd find a truck somehow then.
Literally. It wasn't like she said, I found someone who's going to buy it. Can you hold it one more day and the person can pick it up? Fine. He's like, okay, I just got to upload it on the internet, interview some buyers. It's like, that's a lot of work.
crazy. Why is he Nicole's personal assistant? So weird.
The funniest thing is then she goes, oh, so you're gonna like give her the money then? And he goes, no, like I'm gonna like cash app her or something. I'm like,
so you're gonna give her the money? What? Clearly Anabelle was like, okay, at the very least, then if you're doing all the work for her, do you get to keep the money? And so when he says that, she's like, girl, just bring it to the dump. Like, what are you doing? We're not doing all that. And then he tells her to calm down and he'll deal with it. I'm like, Shea, fuck off. He's so annoying. Calm down. And Anabelle kind of leaves. I mean, she walks like, 20 feet away to go talk to Allison outside of her house on the property. And she says that to the camera that she at least trusts that Allison will tell her the truth, which I think is accurate. And Allison says to Anabelle that she hates to be the one to tell her this. But for the past 4 years, while Anabelle and Shea have been engaged, Shea has been hanging out with Nicole. Yikes. And it gets worse because Allison says that they go on the boat together, they go to the bar together. Sounds like pretty much anytime there's alcohol involved, they're together. And Allison says that when Anabelle would FaceTime him when he's hanging out with his friends, she would purposefully not show Nicole.
don't love that.
And Allison in an interview says that, quote, as much as I hate the fact that she's taking my dad away from me, I do feel bad for Anabelle.
Lots to unpack there, always.
Yeah. I mean, we've established their relationship is weird, but I do appreciate Allison, even though she clearly is way too close with her dad in this really weird, like enmeshed way, she at least is able to see that he's being like a shitty partner. And I do appreciate her being honest about that with Anabelle at the very least.
Agreed.
And she said again to the camera, you're engaged in the Philippines, but you're acting single in America. And she says that if she were Anabelle and her fiance was doing this, she would leave him. And Allison to Anabelle says that she hasn't actually seen Shea and Nicole kiss or hold hands or anything, but Shea openly talks about Nicole's body and smacks her butt. Ew. And Allison has heard Shea tell Nicole that he loves her and he'll always love her.
You can't be doing any of that.
So,
yeah.
And Anabelle in an interview says that she can't do this anymore. She loves Shea, but she's been backstabbed by him and she can't marry him. I don't believe her, but I want to.
I know. I wish all these conversations were happening later in the season.
I mean, am I surprised by any of this? No. Am I disappointed? I guess, but it's like I expected so little of him. It's hard to even feel disappointed.
It all tracks. Honestly, it all tracks.
And I feel like for Anabelle too, because she was clearly upset, but she low-key wasn't gasping. Like she's kind of like nodding angrily.
I know. Also, I'd like to say that Shea commented on one of our TikToks and told us to be nice to him. And I'm like, okay, Shea, we are literally listing things that have happened. We're talking about things you've said and done, and it reflects poorly on you because they're shitty things to do and say.
Yeah.
Wow, Shea, that's amazing that you smack your ex-wife's ass. I love that.
Well, you're so charming. You're such a party boy. It's that whole phenomenon of people being like, you're spreading rumors about me behind my back. And you're just relaying information that literally happened. And you're like, I don't know. If you feel like that's me like defaming you, it sounds like you should be acting different.
Time to reflect. I know. No, I agree.
But if we get one singular enemy of the pod from this season, I fucking hope it would be Shea or Mito. Those are my dream enemies.
We're working on it. I think we're gonna get there.
We're putting in the effort for sure.
Next, we have Mallorie and Raşit, and
what was this nonsense?
It was stupid, but it starts with them fighting because apparently they fight about cleaning every single day because they have very different cleanliness standards, which whatever, but it just like kind of speaks to their relationship. I'm not shocked that they have like just these incompatibilities, however minor, that like keep coming back up. And so the theme of this episode is that they're going to buy a bidet because in Turkey it's normal to have a bidet and in the US it's less common. And en route to buying the bidet, something very, in my opinion, weird happened. And I want to discuss it with you, which is they're in the car. Mallorie has like a Starbucks drink and a breakfast sandwich. Raşit takes a bite of her breakfast sandwich, not realizing it has bacon in it. And he's, keep in mind, Muslim. And she starts cackling about it. And she's like, babe, do you know what you just ate?
And she's like, ha!
And in my opinion, takes a really long time to tell him it's pork.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what? It's pork? And she's like cackling. And then he is like, oh my God, I can't eat pork. I'm Muslim, obviously. He like spits it out. And then he like rinses his mouth with water and like spits out of the car window. And she's like, oh my God, you're so dramatic. And I'm like,
Mallorie.
Yeah, I don't think that's that dramatic. If you like this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, there's always a fine line where I don't like him being like, in my culture, women have to do XYZ, but like, this is his own religion. And I feel like as his partner, it's weird. Like, if you know his religion is important to him, it's weird to not be like a little more serious about him like accidentally doing something that goes against his religious principles. Like, I don't know. There was something about the tone with which she mentioned it that I found extremely weird and off-putting.
To your point, like the levity with which she was like really cracking the fuck up at this for a full minute. She was dying laughing.
So they now are driving close to the site of Mallorie's car accident the year before, which we've heard about extensively. And Raşit says he'd love to see where it happened just to like kind of understand the situation more. And so they go there and it's very emotional. Yeah. And, you know, they're having this like very somber discussion of what happened. And Raşit was saying it was so hard for him to not be there because I forgot this accident was during their relationship.
God, that must have been such a nightmare. Like him being so far away and like not knowing if she was going to be okay. That would have been horrible. Sure.
This cracked me up because they leave the site of the accident and Raşit's trying to lighten the mood. So he, while the car is in motion, unbuckles his seatbelt, spins around so his head is facing the seat and starts twerking. And I'm like,
hey, read the room.
Were we not just talking about a car accident like 30 seconds ago?
No, I thought that was incredibly insensitive, but she laughs. But I was like, I would literally punch him in the head. I would be like, what is wrong with you?
Odd.
Different strokes for different folks because she really thought that was funny. And I was like, that is really kind of demented of him to have done, but whatever.
I agree.
They have an interview, like a couple interview after this, where they're recounting the accident and how traumatizing it was. And there is a sweet moment where, I mean, they're both crying. Like, it's very emotional for both of them, of course. Mm-hmm. And Raşit says basically that during that time when he wasn't sure if she was basically going to survive or not, I mean, she had to go into emergency surgery and all this shit. He just kept thinking, like, if she doesn't live, like, I'm not going to marry another woman. Like, this is the woman that I want to marry. And like, you know, it was clearly like a really emotional, awful time for them both. And of course, that's very sweet. And I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but I did see people commenting on that online being like, oh my God, this made Raşit like my favorite man from the franchise. And I'm like, it really does highlight how I think that maybe you and me differ from a lot of people in that we don't really believe or like value so much these like grand romantic gestures or like overall moments of sweetness. I mean, not to say that they don't matter, but we very clearly value day-to-day compatibility and treatment more than like this overall like, but I really love you and if I lost you it would have fucked me up. But like, of course it's sweet, but it has to go to me hand in hand with like, and also on a daily basis we love and respect each other and are compatible.
I agree. Yes. So they are, you know, continuing the drive to the, you know, bathroom fixtures showroom. And already in the car, they're discussing finances. And Mallorie is basically saying that Raşit just doesn't understand how much it costs to basically be an adult living alone, because in Turkey, it's normal to live with your parents until you're an adult. And he just doesn't seem to grasp how much goes into just having a roof over their heads. Yeah. Plus the fact that she's also covering his food, etc. She does say something very funny, which is she says, now I have an extra mouth to feed and an extra butthole to clean. I mean, the girl does love her butt humor, but I did think it was kind of funny in this context.
Yeah, the two of them love poop humor, which we see echoed throughout the segment.
They really, yeah, they do. It just reminds me, side note, I have this really, really cute little cousin who's 2. And she's like just now learning about like poop humor. And it's like, unfortunately, it cracks me up every time because we were talking about like, we were playing with these stuffed animals and they're like all going shopping. And I was like, oh, like, you know, what's this one buying? And then what's this one buying? And then one of them, she said, he's buying poo-poo. And I said, what store is he buying that from? And she said, the poo-poo store. And that shit got me. I was like, that's funny.
I can't wait to have kids, mainly just because then I can make poop jokes and like it's socially acceptable in my circle
and now. And be like those immature little kids, you know how they are. Anyway, they now pull up to
the poo-poo store.
The poo-poo store, Harrington's. They get like a little tour of the various bidet options. The first one is $1,100.
Hey, surely there's cheaper ones.
Mallory's kind of like, oh, $1,100? Wow. And they're like, oh, like if budget's an issue, like we can show you a cheaper option. And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. And then the cheaper option is $800.
The fuck?
Also, at one point when they're watching the bidet demonstration, Raşit says something about, I don't want to be horny here.
Really? Is that what he said? Because I was like, surely not.
No, but it was like a closed caption.
And she was definitely embarrassed. She's like, oh my God, don't say that.
Why are we horny at the bidet store?
Do they have a scat fetish? Because they really have been bringing it up a lot. And like, why are we talking about being horny? Like, actually, what the fuck could that mean other than that?
That scared me.
Can he elaborate? Like,
also, I feel like if he had said horny but meant like greedy or something, she would have been like, oh, do you mean something like, but if she just accepted it for what it was and then was like, oh, okay. In a way that I was like, yeah, I don't know.
And I don't want to know, guys, really, like, an overarching theme of this season is that is an inside thought.
Don't tell us about it. Don't make it our problem.
Talk to Mallorie about it later when you get home.
So kind of like a recurring theme is the concept of a need versus a want.
Yes.
And they seem to just not be aligned about that. And there's a couple conflicts at once. One is that Raşit is conflating a need versus a want, and he keeps being like, I need a bidet. And Mallory's like, well, can you just at least be realistic about the fact that it's something you want? It's not like a medical need to survive, you know? Then something happened that I found extremely off-putting, which is Mallorie just tells Raşit they can't afford an $800 bidet. And he says they can afford it and that Mallory's rich because of the insurance settlement she got from the car accident.
Raşit.
And that really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And she clarifies that, like, that's money she got from the accident. She immediately put it into a brokerage account because she doesn't want to spend it on dumb shit. And that's their emergency fund. And she really hates that Raşit views it as just fun spending money.
Yeah, I would hate that too.
And then when she tells him, you know, no, like that money, like I don't even touch that money. That is money that is for an emergency. He says, so I'm not special. You know, I left my country for you.
Well, okay, it gets to a point where you can't keep bringing that up, Raşit.
You did choose it. Like you did, you know, opt in to coming here. This is the shit where I'm starting to feel insane because everyone online is like, oh my God, sweetest guy ever. And it's like, yeah, I think it's nice that he got emotional about the fact that she almost died. But you know what? I'm going to be so honest. That is the bare minimum. If you care about someone, you would be sad when you think about them dying.
Yeah.
Like, what's the alternative, guys? Him to be like, yeah, I actually was hoping you would die. I mean, like, seriously, think about it.
Yes.
There's just something that really pisses me off, the audacity of like, if you get money from a traumatic accident, it's not like a happy windfall. I guarantee you she would rather have not had the accident happen and not have the money.
Totally.
And the fact that he is like, you're rich now. You can buy me stuff. And it's literally money she got from an insurance settlement.
Of a traumatic accident. So part of that is like she's going to have lifelong issues because she has 3 feet fewer of her fucking intestines. Like she might literally need that money to pay for medical bills in the future as a result of this accident.
It's just bizarre. Like, I don't know. I know he doesn't have an $800 bidet in Turkey. His parents don't have it at home. His parents live in a tent. He, of all people, should understand the difference between a want and a need.
Wait, that's so true.
It's just bizarre to me. Like, this specific interaction, the combination of being so manipulative, of claiming her money that she got through trauma as his own, and acting like he needs a certain level of luxury that we know he probably didn't have before, rubs me so deeply the wrong way. And I can't tell you how gaslighted I'm starting to feel by the collective internet consciousness that's like, oh, but he's such a sweetie pie. What here is sweet?
I don't know. It's just like his disposition, I guess, is not actively aggressive and angry, so people think that he's a nice guy. I don't know, dude. It's really baffling.
If someone told me I had to buy them an $800 bidet and I said, no, I can't afford it, and they said, so I'm not special, I would be so fucking irritated. Like,
the fight that would ensue, unbelievable.
So again, I'm back to saying, like, I don't get this relationship. I'll die on this hill. I don't care if the whole internet disagrees with me. This is what's on my heart.
I fear that this relationship is, to us, the same in the public consciousness versus our own perceptions as last season's Sean and Aaliyah relationship was. Obviously such different circumstances, but in the sense that we're like, hey, this guy is actually not that great, even though like we understand some of the good things that people are pointing out. Like overall, he's actually so manipulative and like really not that great of a partner and not the prize here. And people are like, no, he's the hero and he's such a sweetie pie and the woman is such a bitch.
It's funny you say that. It's literally the same situation if you think about it. It is that people view the, coincidentally in this case, female partner as less inherently socially valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, the man is doing an amazing, kind gesture by merely being with her.
Ooh, do you think that's fundamentally what this is about?
I really do believe part of the reason that Raşit gets such leeway is because people find him more attractive than they find Mallorie. I think if they were more well-matched in society's eyes, I think people might have a little bit more ability to see it more clearly, but I think I do think that clouds people's judgment. And the same thing with Sean and Aaliyah. It was like, you're telling on yourself because that means you inherently believe having a partner who's trans in that case is something that is burdensome. Mm-hmm. And him, agreeing to participate in this activity that you view as burdensome is so inherently valiant that you view this person as a good person overall.
Yeah.
I feel that there's echoes of that happening here as well.
Oh God, I really hate that. I think you're spot on.
Anyway, that's that. That's like pretty much everything I want to say about the two of them. I'm just like, I'm really annoyed with them, and I'm annoyed that the public has such a different perception.
Totally agree. I also fundamentally, this whole plot about the bidet was so stupid to me because you can literally get one that's really good on Amazon for $40. Shout out to Luxe Bidet. I'm a big fan. 20% off, link in bio. Just kidding, but maybe.
One day we're manifesting.
Next, we have Marissa and Edward.
Marissa and Edward are the other couple where I feel like it's me against the world. I feel like I perceive it one way, and then I go online and everyone's like, oh my God, that bitch. And I'm like, I guess I had a very different perception of the situation. And I wasn't thinking about it, but coming off of just talking about Mallorie and Raşit, I feel like the same feelings are already coming up for me,
I've been trying to parse through, why does she not bother us, whereas other people on this show don't bother the general public seemingly and really bother us, for example, Raşit. But I've been realizing that we're both from an area where there are a lot of Marissas, as in these career, successful, high-strung women who are not really like bitches. They're just like, they have to be very controlled and measured people in order to get all the shit done in a day that they have on their plate. These are working women with full households of children and possibly also a husband who have to go through the world in a very particular and slightly high-strung way in order to get their shit done.
And none of the women I know who are like that want to be like that. Almost all of them would be so happy if they had a reliable partner who would actually take some of the shit off their plate. And because they're either single or they have a husband who doesn't do shit, they are forced into this position of being hyperproductive, micro and macro managing. And it's just literally like a survival mechanism to get through the world in the way that they need to.
Yes. And I feel that because of that, I know these women, I love these women. At the very least, I don't look down on them. And so I wonder if just a lot of the public does not have that association from their personal life. And so they look at someone like Marissa, who's not subscribing to very traditional roles that women are forced into in this country. And they see her as on some level, failure of a woman, I think. And then for a lot of people, she doesn't even, and I don't feel this way, but for a lot of people, they're so focused also on her appearance. And I almost feel that the message from them is you can't perform any level of femininity correctly. And to them, that makes her evil.
I mean, a huge recurring theme on the show is how people police cast members of different genders, of different races. I mean, I think it's really clear in the audience perception of different things. It's just so interesting because I definitely could see some behaviors of Marissa's that I, if she asked me, hey, what would you change? I could be like, oh, maybe this would be good. But same for Edward. There's a lot I would and I find it so odd that she is I don't know, people are so truly cruel to her in a way I think is so disproportionate based on what we've actually seen about her, that it clearly just triggers something in people. And I hate it. I don't know. I find it so unfair.
Yeah. And to actually get into what happened in this episode.
Now that that's off our chests.
So we opened this really perplexing plot line, which is Edward has fixed, in quotes, a part of this backyard gate that essentially he says that the person who installed it broke something about it. And so it was fucked up. And I think the implication is that the gate was just hanging open or they couldn't close it properly. And so it was a safety issue. And so he's here, I fixed it. He shows Marissa what he's done. And he's literally taken random pieces of wood from around her house, but specifically broken bits of molding from the living room that were just laying around somewhere. He's taken it and he's nailed it onto the gate and then onto the fence so that the gate cannot open anymore. But he is consistently reminding me of Elf, the movie Elf. Yeah. In the movie when he makes a rocking horse out of the TV stand in his dad's apartment. I was that is literally what it looks like he has done with this fucking gate.
Well, also I'm excited to see him in New York next episode where it might literally be Elf. It's also, it's similar, but there's also a very kind of Amelie Badelia nature to him. That it's cute once or twice, but then it gets real annoying, you know? And importantly, he's done this on the outside of the fence. So everyone driving by sees that this gate now has pieces of, by the way, he didn't even like saw the molding. I'm pretty sure he just ripped it. Like
he says that he broke it. Yeah, he says that.
Yeah. So it's like jagged crown molding, crooked with like rusty nails. It literally looks like Halloween decor. It looks terrible.
It looks spooky as hell.
Also, one thing that I wanted to mention about the gate as well is part of his like DIY solution is that he made the executive decision that the gate will no longer function as a gate.
Right.
Now it's just going to be nailed shut. And she's like, well, there actually is value in having that gate open so that like gardeners can come in and stuff like that. And he just like, no, they can come in the other way. Like he just made the decision. And I feel like there's something about that on top of everything else. Like not only is it ugly, but it's now lost functionality.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, so objectively you did a bad job.
It's funny that that's so hard for him to admit.
I know.
When she didn't even seemingly ask him to do this or like, I don't know, it's not a big deal. You don't have to be good at handiwork. Like, but I think fundamentally probably in his psyche, I mean, he basically said as much in interviews, but it's like he feels bad that he can't work. So like he wants to be helping around the house in some way. And like, of course I have empathy for that. And I totally get why he was trying to do it. But I'm like, let's watch a couple more YouTube videos before we go whole hog on this. Let's post something to Reddit. Hey guys, what solution would you do before we just start nailing crown molding to this fence?
I know.
And then he shows Marissa this and I feel like she underreacted. Or like, I felt that at the very least her reaction was very appropriate. She's like, thanks for trying to help, but like, do you not see how maybe this wasn't the best solution? Like, I'm worried.
To be fair, she said, Edward, what in the hell is this?
See, to me, that was underreacting. Maybe that's
Same.
The thing is like, I'm more of a bitch than Marissa. So I'm like, if you don't like how she's approaching it, you would hate me. Well, okay, to be fair, she did say that. But she was like, okay, like, can't you understand that maybe like this wasn't that great? And she's like basically saying, hey, I don't like how it looks. And then on top of that, I'm worried about how the neighbors will perceive it. Like it looks ugly. I just don't want them to like think that our house is like the white trash house. Marissa is not perfect because we do have an uncomfortable interview with the two of them where they're recounting this like fence situation. And Marissa is like, okay, do you not understand why that wasn't a great solution? And he's like, who cares? Because like the neighbors don't pay our bills, which is like such a deflective and weird reaction.
And he keeps saying that. He also said it like at the immediate, like when she was seeing the fence and she's like, the neighbors are going to think the house looks like shit. And he's like, they don't pay our bills. So it's like a repeated thing he said.
Right. But then she goes, I don't care if they don't pay our bills. I pay your bills and I want the house to look a good way. And I was like, okay, Marissa, we can't be throwing that in his, like, that was a bit much.
When she said that, like, obviously I knew it was bitchy, but I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I find something also funny about him always being like, they don't pay our bills. And it's like, well, neither do you.
Well, that's kind of true. Why he did bring it up in the first place.
You know what I mean? Like, he's like, they don't pay our bills. It's like, you literally don't pay your bills either. So I'm just saying, if the point is the person who pays the bills gets to make the decisions, then Marissa gets to make the decisions.
Wait, you know
by
what?
By his own admission.
That's true. Look, if he hadn't brought up bills in the first place, that would have been a totally bitchy comment. But that is actually a good point. Anyway, Edward, in a solo interview, says that he feels like nothing he ever does is good enough for Marissa or her family, and she's always cutting him down. It's just so funny for him to be saying that if it is in the context of this specific situation, because I'm like, okay, but what you did was like bad.
You
like,
objectively did a bad job.
So in the next section with them, we have what I found to be fascinating discussion between the two of them in a car together. So Marissa is driving the both of them to New York City from Pennsylvania because during the day she'll be working, at Kleinfeld, and Edward will be on his own exploring and acting as a tourist. And he's really excited about that. Like in an interview, he's like, I'm going to be a tourist for the first time. And it does remind me like he works in like hospitality. He's always been like catering to these tourists and he's finally getting to do it himself for the first time. So it's really cute.
Yeah. She asks Edward if he has cash with him to, spend in New York. And he kind of like mumbles that he has some money. And she's like, okay, is it in your wallet? And then he like admits he doesn't have a wallet. And then it's revealed that he doesn't have the cash with him and that he also doesn't have a credit card.
So Edward...
And he basically is like, oh, it's not a big deal. I just forgot the cash. And her perspective is, this is what I'm talking about. You're going to New York City, which is not a city that you can navigate with no cash, no credit card, no ID, nothing. Mm-hmm. And so what was the plan? what was the plan for you to be in New York and not spend one singular dollar? And so his perspective is it's just not that big of a deal. And she's like, you don't understand. You've never been to New York. Like, and I think more than that, it's also just this issue of her having to micromanage him, the fact that he's not self-sufficient, that she doesn't want, it goes back to this topic that they keep fighting about, that she doesn't want another child. Mm-hmm. And I would like to say something here that pisses me off. Top 10 thing that pisses me off in the world. Sloppy, unprepared people, somehow it works out for them and they don't learn their lesson.
I know.
I'm telling you, if Edward was in New York with no cash, he would somehow find $100 on the ground. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then he's like, oh, see, it worked out. And it's like, yes, it worked out by freakish chance. You can't expect it to always work out like that. But that is how the world works sometimes. I find it so annoying.
And he's like, oh, I just didn't think about it. And it's like, that's not really an excuse because that's what she's worried about. Like, that's the problem.
And I will say to her credit here, she proactively apologizes for being kind of cold to him. But she said it's been really hard for her because he's not self-sufficient and she needs him to figure out how to be self-sufficient.
Which feels so beyond reasonable for an adult man who also knows what he's signing up for, like being in a relationship with a woman who has a super high-powered career, owns a home.
And kids.
And has kids. Like, this is so predictable. This isn't like a bait and switch.
I agree.
I just want to say, going into this discussion, I really believe that both of these people do love each other and have their hearts in the right place. I don't think that either person is like trying to be spiteful or anything. I also don't think that it was handled perfectly. So like, I just want that up front. Yeah. But he responds to her saying, to be honest, you just need to calm down most of the time. Hey, I'm kicking you out of my car on the highway. It's just never, it's so rare that in a conversation, the correct response is you need to calm down. Also,
the full thought was you need to calm down because you chose this life.
And then she gets offended by that. She's like, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I didn't choose the lifestyle that I have, by the way. Like, I didn't choose to be a divorced mom with a single income household. Like, I was really hoping that my marriage would work out. Like, I did not choose this lifestyle. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, I meant because like life is inconvenient all the time and you just kind of have to adapt to that. I'm like, Edward, what are you talking about? Like, this is not what she's talking about. Also, her life is now inconvenient because of you. You're making her life inconvenient. It's not like she's freaking out because, oh my God, the subway was late. Something that you guys don't have control over. Like, she's upset because she's made it clear to you what she needs from you. And she's like, I'm not even actually looking for you to help me with my tasks. All I'm asking for you is to be self-sufficient, which, to be honest, I feel like she should fairly be asking him to actually help her with shit. Like, I don't think that would be unfair, but she's being beyond reasonable. And he's like, life is just inconvenient sometimes. You got to roll with it. And it's like, she's been so clear about what she wants. And I feel she's being extremely reasonable. And I hate this like deflection.
I'm always just thinking, like, I'm thinking back to the fence and like what a metaphor this is. And it's like, if he had just been like, hey, I had to look at the fence. It's definitely not within my skill set, but I'd love to take the lead on like finding someone to fix it or something like that. Yeah. Great. Now, not only do they have a fucked up fence, but it looks actively hideous. And they're now going to have to undo what he did.
And probably pay more money.
Yeah, and then do the work that was going to have to be done anyway. And so it's like, okay, even if you had good intentions, like the end result was you put in effort and you made more work than if you hadn't done it at all.
Yes.
And okay, this is another thing in life that just bothers me. And I know, whatever, this is also why I'm sympathetic to Marissa, because I think we're similar in some ways. But like, people always want credit for like effort or trying. And it's like, okay, to some degree, yeah, I hear you. But it's also like, if the end result was that you actually made negative progress, like there's only so much praise you can get for that.
I feel that praise runs out as soon as you're no longer someone's child, before adulthood. It's like, okay, a kid trying to pour their own glass of milk and then actually they just pour the entire jug out and break the glass. Okay, you get points for trying. You can't be acting that way as an adult and expecting praise.
And I know I can really empathize with where he's coming from. I'm sure he feels completely useless and really wants to be contributing to this family. I think he's hyper aware of the fact that he, at this point, is in some ways a burden and doesn't want to be. And it's just unfortunate that it's manifesting in him doing these like kind of unhelpful side quests. You know what I mean? It's just, again, I don't think anyone here is a bad person. I think I'll flag this whole thing as unfortunate.
I agree.
So the last couple this week is Thomas and Paula. And this is just a small thing, but it cracked me up the way their section started. Paula's holding these mini utensils and she's like, Thomas, what do these remind you of when you look at them? And he goes, a bad investment. And she goes, it reminds me of being a warm and cozy family cooking together.
I don't get either of these people. I'm sorry. It really brings me back to the first time that we saw them on screen and you're like, use that German word that just means like, not to my taste.
Geschmackssache. Yeah. Anyway, so you'll recall in the last episode, Thomas was worried about giving her access to his bank account via her own credit card because she is a bit of a shopaholic. And
yes,
the camera pans to a pile of boxes, which she claims are essential items she's purchased for their home. And the home is missing many essential items, so I can believe that some of these are essentials.
Sure.
And Thomas picks up a little box and he says, okay, what's this one? And she's like, oh, I don't know, which already a bad sign. You don't remember everything you ordered, or you're lying about it. And it's a tiny couch that she's purchased to manifest having a real sized couch.
Now, that's starting to piss me off.
And he is like, why did you buy this shit with my money, pretty much? And it's kind of funny now that like manifestation with the tiny things is becoming like passive aggressive in this way.
Passive aggressive manifestation is such a funny concept.
And it's just funny because like he's like, stop buying this shit, and she's like, I don't know why you won't let me. And it's just like, again, it's just like they keep having the same fights over and over again, and it's just like we're not seeing progress being made.
It's also so funny when people like Paula in this moment is like, I don't know why you don't want me to do that. It's like, he's actually said, you can just say that you disagree, but it's so funny to be like, I can't possibly imagine.
I know.
For the record, I just looked it up and it appears that, assuming she bought that couch on Amazon, it is, as of today, $13. So just for the reference, it's not like ridiculously expensive, to be fair.
And counterpoint, if you're buying one of those every day, it does add up.
Oh, well, sure. Also, I kind of want it now that I'm looking at it. It is really cute.
So Paula decides to go visit their neighbors, Felix and Anderson, and she is immediately jealous of how fully furnished their apartment is.
I loved these two. These were great guest stars on this week.
I really liked them. They were immediately ready to talk shit about Thomas too. They were like, he's challenging. And Paula, in her conversation with them, really keeps hitting this point she's made before. And she says here, quote, in Brazil, I worked so hard and I don't want to come here and live like a homeless, you know?
And she does have a point. Like, I totally get her being dissatisfied with the state of the apartment. I never want it to sound like I don't get her on that. I don't get her on other stuff, but like that feels fair.
And she's telling them about the camping table and the yoga blocks for chairs, and they audibly gasp when she says she has to sit at a camping table. And we also learn that Paula was married before.
Love that lore drop.
I know, and it ended poorly, it seems, and she is conscious of not getting into the same dynamics again with Thomas. And she says in an interview, quote, Thomas and I, we are super disconnected. I love him, but I love myself more, and I don't need to be begging for something so usual and normal for me.
I can't wait for her to have some words for Debbie at the reunion, and Josh, maybe.
I know. So in the next section, Paula and Thomas are together again, and she says that they're doing a bit better, but she feels like a guest in his life. Mm-hmm. And she tells him that she just wants the same infrastructure she had in Brazil, like a completely furnished apartment and a closet space. And he's very defensive. He's like, well, in Brazil, you had 5 closets for yourself. And like, when I came to visit you, you barely made space for me. And she's like, yeah, but you were just visiting.
He has the worst rebuttals. He's not.
I know.
I know that he was not a speech and debate bro because he's not good at this at all. He was in the fucking rollerblading club. He wasn't doing speech and debate.
It's just this back and forth stupid fight that's like avoiding the point. Like, he's like, well, I gave you a closet. Like, fill up that closet and then we'll talk about the rest. And she's like, it's not about the actual closet space. It's about me feeling like I'm part of your life. And he's like, not really, you know what I mean? Like, they're just not really able to grasp what this is about. Yeah. And then again, he does this thing which a lot of people do on the show, which is where he's like, well, I did your whole visa process. Like, I, did all the paperwork. I paid for everything. Like, that should count for something. And it's like, why do people do one thing and then they're like, okay, that was my contribution? And it's like, I'm going to be so honest. If you want your partner to come to your country and you're the petitioner, yeah, you do have to fill out those forms yourself. Like that. And like the expectation is that you're going to pay for the person you're literally sponsoring.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. Also, chances are that the US dollar is going to go a lot farther than most other countries. So it's like, yeah, the onus kind of is on you.
I just like don't really get this like weaponizing, like, I bought you this. And it's like, right. Like, honestly, I think I would be more forgiving if he was like, I've already spent all this money on miniatures. I don't want to spend any more money on miniatures. You know what I mean? If there was like, if it was aligned. But he's like, well, I paid for your visa, therefore I don't owe you anything else. And it's like, well, I don't think that's true. Also,
Yeah.
legally, I don't think that's true. And then now Paula is doing this famous 90-day fiancé thing where she's threatening to go back to her country.
It's awesome.
And she's like, if you insist, I'll go back to Brazil. But then she does say in an interview that like life in Brazil was legitimately easier for her and that she is considering going back. And I get that. And this reminds me actually of a TikTok that I saw that I thought was really interesting, where someone was saying when you're watching 90 Day, you can see like across the different seasons, the kind of fall of American mythology over time.
Yes.
And that in the first seasons, people were like, I'm so excited to be in America. And in this season, repeatedly, we've heard people be like, I'm not doing you a favor by being in America. You know what I mean? Like, my life was good in my old country. Like, it was a sacrifice for me to leave, which is kind of an interesting thing to see.
I feel like because of that, in general, with the seasons now, I feel that the people are more here for love. And it's now a situation of kind of almost regular international couple struggles of like, well, love isn't enough, and like circumstance and compatibility are also really important. And coming to that, it's less so about the pull of the American dream, which I think is almost like a good balancing out of the power dynamics. I don't want to sound as if I'm blind to how the US in many ways does provide at least the potential of a more comfortable life for many people throughout the world. I don't want to sound like there's nothing good and comfortable about the US, but it is just true that it's a lot less than it was in the past. And certainly, to your point, the myth of it being inherently a better country than like anywhere on earth is really shattered in recent years.
And we're not hearing the like American dream talk. The only person who I think has that is Mito, but it's really a Hollywood dream specifically.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a more targeted dream. Everyone else, I feel like they could give or take the fact that it's the US versus any other country, you know?
Yeah. A lot of the time it's just like, well, this is where my partner lives and I want to be with them.
It also sounds like, I mean, I couldn't tell you for sure, but I feel like I remembered a couple of different couples on this season mentioning like, yeah, we considered also going to the other country, but this made more sense for us.
True.
I feel like in the past, it was always just assumed if you're from a different country, you're going to come to America.
Yep.
So it's just an interesting like overall trend to see. It does shift the dynamics quite a bit.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this week's podcast episode. Please make sure that you're following us wherever you're listening right now. Also, please give us a review. We would appreciate that so much. And make sure you're following us on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, etc. We are My Best View Pod. We'd love to get some interaction over there. We love chatting with everyone about what is going on this week's episode. And yeah, can't wait to see you next week too.
Bye.
Bye.